Hey everybody, it's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the St. Vitus basement, and today we are here with Jonny of The Browning. Thank you for your time, man.
Of course. How you doing?
Doing great. It's great to have you here. It's a stacked lineup with you guys and Betraying the Martyrs. So your latest record is Geist. Do you just want to give a rundown on how the making of the record's been and the record cycle thus far?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long process. It was about a year and a half of writing. And I did the majority of the writing on Twitch, like live to where people could like watch the process and everything. So it was a bit unique. I don't know any other band that did the whole process to where everyone can see the making of the whole album. So I just wanted to do something unique for the fans, and it was also like motivating to me to get on every day and see people like on the spot react to the new music like while I was writing it. So, but everyone loves it. Like this tour, we're playing every song off the new album besides one, and no one's complaining really that we're not playing a bunch of old stuff. So. Like, obviously, you get a couple here and there, where they want something. But, yeah, everyone's pretty happy with everything. So,
Any songs off of Isolation or?
yeah, we're playing 3 off of Isolation, and that's it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Encore with Bloodlust, like kind of the old song. But, so, yeah, only 1 song off the first album, and then 2 off of the last one, and then the rest is a new one. So,
That's incredible.
yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you were pretty much like live streaming the making of this, which I think is a really unique way to make a record. Has maybe people commenting on this live stream, or did even just live streaming this record at all maybe help influence the sound of Geist?
Yeah, I mean, it was. There was a couple songs that I didn't stream because there was a couple I knew I was going to kind of go like way off. Like, there's a couple that are really soft songs, and I didn't really want people to be like, that's not heavy enough or something. And so I didn't stream like a few of the songs just because I knew I didn't want to see people's reaction, because I do want to do what I want. But it was, it did help with some parts. Like I would do something, and if I wasn't sure about it or whatever, and the chat was all thinking it was sick, then I would be like, okay, well, the fans like it because the people that were watching were fans of the band. So you did get instant gratification or instant so like if a couple people in the chat are like, oh, I don't know, that part kind of loses momentum, then I mean, if there's 2 of 30 people thinking that it's losing momentum from a part, then there's going to be thousands of people in the end that think that it's, a part might not work. So it was nice to have like kind of an immediate feedback on your songs.
And it's cool if, like, a fan, did anybody be like, oh, you need more reverb on here, or make this, faster? Or, did you actually get any, constructive?
Yeah, there was some stuff like that. Like, maybe you could try to do this with the drums. And I'd be like, okay, do it. And then, then I'd be like, yeah, I kind of like that. So, yeah, there was times where someone would, say something, and I would just kind of, do it or, take it in consideration or whatever. So, yeah, that definitely happened, across the album as well. Yeah.
Now, being that the Browning has both kind of like a real heavy sound, but you also, incorporate electronic elements as well, is there, a element that always has to come first? Do you focus on the electronical aspect first, or do you have to lay down riffs?
It goes back and forth. Really, sometimes it really depends on the type of song that I want it to be. If it's going to be a song that is, because the Browning now kind of has a few different sounds in the sense of the vibe of a song. There's never a song that's kind of slow and rocky and then has a random techno part. Pretty much the ones that have big techno parts are pretty fast, aggressive songs. And so those ones, there are times where I'll come up with a techno part beforehand, like a synth melody that I want to incorporate into the song. But on this one, a lot of times there's kind of these big rock riffs that are just kind of this underlying thing that I can then go over the top of and mess around and figure out what kind of sounds sound right on top of it. So it really is dependent. A lot of times I'll have a melody in my head, for a synth lead, because a long time ago we played a German festival and it was our first time ever over there, played with Full Force, and before we started playing, no one had ever heard of us, or that's what we thought, and the crowd started singing the melody to Bloodlust, and it made me really realize the type of melodies that I wanted to make. I wanted to make ones that are singable. So in my head all the time I'm doing whatever, just in my head there's stuff like that, And so I'll get on my phone and record it, and then I'll maybe get home and get the melody down, and then think about what can go underneath it. So it goes back and forth whether it's electronics or like riffs or whatever first. Yeah.
Which is funny. Is depending on when you're playing live, is it a different experience playing a more riff-driven song versus a more like electronic-driven song?
It's I mean the more electronic-driven ones do have like a way different energy, and so the way I do the set is I really try to make it to where it's not like, like basically it'll be like a song with techno, then like two songs that without it, then song with techno, then like song with rap, and then a rock song, and then a techno song. So I have to like pace them out, so it's not just like the whole time, or just like one section is too overly aggressive, and then so yeah, they do have different vibes, and that's actually was kind of a point of Geist, is Geist is like our softest album and our heaviest album. Like there's more singing on Geist. We've never really had singing as like a main part of the band. And but a reason I wanted songs that had those really soft dynamics was so live we could play an hour-long set, and there's times when the crowd can just kind of chill, listen, and whatever. So, because before, with How the Browning was before, it was literally like metalcore, deathcore with like techno. So the whole time it was just freaking, going. And so now we have some songs that people can just kind of like vibe to, and then, with the points where it gets super heavy. And then, right after that, kick it up and start yelling at them and be like, all right, no more standing still, So, yeah, it gives more dynamics live. It makes it to where we can play an hour-long set without people getting too burnt out.
Definitely. And I remember listening to this record to review it, that there was many different sides to the Browning on there. Do you think that by having many different elements, because, you're doing a tour right now with Betraying the Martyrs, that's a deathcore band, but, like, I almost feel like you could play with, like, a variety of different bands because of the sound you have, right?
Definitely. Yeah, we can play with literally anybody. Like, we've toured with Oceano, we've toured with Fear Factory, we've toured with Shadows Fall, we toured with Static X. Like, we toured with Attila, so it's like we can go around whatever spectrum. Like, if we're on a tour with Whitechapel or something, then we'll play less songs with techno, If we're on a tour with, say, Attila, then, yeah, play all the party songs. So, yeah, we can cater our set depending on what the crowd is like there. Or, say we get a tour with, a rock band, I don't know, Killswitch or something. They're metal, but still rock. Then we can play our more rock songs that, So we can really cater to whatever crowd like we're playing to, for sure.
Awesome. And I have two more questions for you. Being a vocalist, do you need to hear music to come up with lyrics, or does sometimes maybe like a concept you have in mind help maybe determine the composition as well?
For me, mostly, I start getting the vibe of the lyrics of like what the song is going to be based on the music. I do write the majority of the music for the band, and so like while I'm writing, I kind of like start. Like, the Browning's music is super atmospheric, and really, like, you can visualize something in your mind when listening to each song, and each one has a different visualization. And so, like, and then also, what really helps me, too, sometimes with creating, like, unique song or, like, different, like, things is whenever I title my track, like, while I'm writing it, so without lyrics, I try to come up with a cool word or something. Like, actually, Noctis, that was the working title. So whenever I wrote the song on Twitch, I said the Twitch chat is like, what should I name this? Like, give me a bunch of cool words. And people spam a bunch of words, and someone said Noctis. And so then I was like, oh, that's a cool word. Name it Noctis. And then whenever I got to lyrics, I looked up what Noctis meant. And then the big thing in the song is the Deus Nocte line, which is the god of the darkness, god of the night. And so it's like the lyrics were inspired from this random working title that person felt fit the vibe of the song. So,
which is awesome. Do you leave your lyrics like open to interpretation, or are you trying to like maybe convey a certain message or meaning?
I'm really weird. Like, my lyrics are semi-confusing sometimes, in the sense of I'm talking about one thing, but like I'm saying it in a way that might seem like I'm talking about the opposite. So like Noctis, that song, some people might interpret it as I'm saying there's no God or whatever, but what that song's actually talking about is like how I believe that there is a God of some sort, but I don't think the God wants us to like spend our time worshiping them. And so it's like, I think we're here for a different purpose. That's what I think. God put us here for a different purpose than to sit there and worship and waste our time on that. So it's like the song isn't talking about that at all. And some people pick up on it, and some people, we've actually kind of gotten, this album kind of got like, not backlash, but there was some more like meaningful, like, I don't know, some dude commented, he was like, you guys used to write songs about, strength and stuff, and now all your lyrics are emo and stuff. And I'm like, I mean, are we not supposed to write about life and feelings and like what's happening and And so, no, my lyrics are very straightforward. Hatebreed's one of my biggest inspirations. And he is as freaking straightforward lyrically as you could be. And yeah, and so
if you listen to his podcast, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I love that dude, and I will be heard tattooed right here. Yeah, and so it's I love him, and so I kind of take that. I'm not trying to be too witty, but sometimes I try to get a little artistic in my wording to an extent, but it's pretty straightforward. Yeah. Like, I'm not a poet. I'm a musician before I'm a vocalist. Yeah. And I also don't want to take away from the music with vocals, because I think the Brownings' music is very interesting, and I hate to cover up too much of it with like screaming. Yeah. So.
Well, you have the best of both worlds with the Browning. I feel like you have lyrics that are very metaphorical and could be open to interpretation, but I think because of the upfront aspect of your music and everything, I also think if you have a statement to make, people will hear it.
Yeah, and like I made a joke about it whenever I came up with the chorus for Final Breath. I say, with my final breath, my lungs will fill with fire. And I was like, people are going to think I'm talking about smoking weed or something. But it's actually about a nuclear explosion happening and me just breathing it in and, accepting what fate has brought to me. And so that's what that song's about.
I'm going to be listening to that song when we get into our first nuclear war now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So before we go, I'd like to thank you so much for your time today. Is there just anything else with the Browning that you would like to promote for the Geist record cycle in terms of tours, or even if you're working on new music? We
have a really sick tour that's going to be September through November. It's a really long tour, 55 days in the United States and Canada. It's really long. So be looking for that. And then before you make any sort of judgment on the band, whatever it sounds like, if you think it's weird, think it's whatever, come see us live, because it's a different ball game. Like, there's a different energy in the room when we're playing. It's, yeah.
I saw you, I think it was at Gold Sounds in Brooklyn, and that's a small venue. And, like, you guys and 36 Crazy Fists both played at that venue, and I thought the venue was going to get shut down that day.
Yeah, it's a sick vibe, and there's a ton of energy, and so come see us live if you have any questions about the band,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Everybody, we are here with Jonny of The Browning, Geist, out on Spine Farm. Be sure to pick that up if you haven't already. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York.
Peace.